Commander Tara stepped off the shuttle, her boots clicking against the smooth metallic floor of the Zanara command hub. The station floated silently above the lavender clouds of Zanara, a neutral planet known for hosting diplomats from all over the galaxy. Its walls were lined with polished alloy panels that reflected the soft glow of the lights above. Tara paused for a moment, taking in the sight. It was larger and more advanced than any station she had ever seen. Despite its beauty, it felt cold and impersonal, as if every corner had been designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Tara adjusted the strap of her bag across her shoulder and walked toward the main docking area. Her mind was focused on her mission. She had been assigned as the lead translator for the alien coalition, a position that demanded both skill and patience. Translators on Zanara were not just messengers. They were mediators, negotiators, and sometimes the difference between peace and war. Tara knew the weight of her responsibility. "Commander Tara," a voice called. She turned to see Lieutenant Rami, a young officer she had trained with in the human fleet. "Welcome to Zanara. The briefing room is this way." Rami led her through a maze of corridors. Every step echoed softly, and Tara could feel the subtle vibrations of the station's machinery under her feet. As they walked, Tara noticed the variety of officers moving past them. Some were human like herself, wearing crisp white uniforms. Others were alien, their forms and movements strange but graceful. Some had multiple limbs, while others had skin that shimmered in colors that changed with their moods. Tara felt a moment of awe, but quickly reminded herself that she was here to work, not to stare. They reached the briefing room, a large circular space with walls that displayed holographic maps and information about various planets and fleets. At the center, a long table was surrounded by officers of different ranks. Tara's eyes immediately fell on one man who seemed to dominate the room with his presence. His uniform was decorated with many stripes, and his posture was rigid. This was General Kor, a high-ranking officer known for his tactical skills and sharp tongue. "Commander Tara," Kor said, without looking directly at her. His voice was smooth but carried an edge of authority. "You are here as a translator, yes? I hope you understand the responsibility of your position." "We are not here to play games," Tara nodded politely. "I understand, General. I am ready to serve." Kor's eyes narrowed. "We shall see. It is rare for someone of your background to take on this role. I hope your skills match your confidence." Tara felt a small flare of irritation but kept her composure. She had faced doubt before, and she knew that reacting emotionally would only confirm others' assumptions. Instead, she smiled politely and said, "I am prepared to prove my abilities, General." Kor's lips pressed into a thin line, and he turned away, clearly dismissing her. Tara noted the way some officers glanced at her, some curious, some skeptical. It was clear she would have to earn their respect, not just from the aliens but from her human colleagues as well. The briefing began. A holographic display illuminated the room with the image of a Varen vessel hovering near the neutral zone. The Varens were known for their strict codes of communication and their advanced technology. Misunderstandings with them could lead to serious consequences. Tara listened carefully as the chief officer outlined the mission, a series of diplomatic talks and negotiations with the Varen representatives. Her role would be to translate their complex language accurately and quickly, ensuring that every nuance was preserved. After the briefing, Tara was escorted to her quarters. They were small but functional, with a view of the planet below. She set down her bag and pulled out a data pad filled with notes on the Varen language and culture. Even with years of preparation, she knew this assignment would test her skills in ways she could not anticipate. That evening, Tara joined the officers' common area. She hoped to meet some of the other humans and make connections. The room buzzed with quiet conversations, laughter, and the occasional burst of alien music that sounded like a mixture of wind chimes and water. Tara found herself seated near Lieutenant Rami, who introduced her to a few others. Then, as she was pouring a cup of tea, she felt a cold gaze on her. She looked up to see General Kor standing across the room, arms crossed. He approached slowly, his eyes locked on hers. "Commander Tara," he said, his voice low but carrying through the room. "I wonder how long it will take before you realize that translating is not enough. Understanding is required, and understanding comes from experience, not books." Tara held his gaze steadily. "General, I have studied their language and culture extensively. I understand the importance of communication. I will do my duty to the best of my ability. Kor's eyes flickered with something unreadable, but he gave a curt nod and turned away. Tara exhaled slowly. She knew this would not be easy. Some of the humans on the station respected her, but others, like Kor, seemed determined to doubt her every move. The next morning, Tara reported to the translation chamber, a room filled with advanced equipment designed to analyze alien speech and project it in real time. Her first task was simple: translate a series of diplomatic messages from the Vayrans. Simple but accurate translation was crucial. She placed her hands on the console, her mind focusing entirely on the sounds and patterns of the alien language. As she worked, General Kor entered the chamber, watching over her shoulder. Tara did not flinch. She knew he expected her to make mistakes. One by one, she decoded the messages, interpreting the meaning behind the symbols and tones. When she finished, she presented her translation to the senior officers. "There," she said calmly. "The messages request a meeting in the neutral zone. They emphasize respect for human leadership, but insist on strict adherence to their protocols." The officers murmured in approval. Kor remained silent, his jaw tight. Tara knew she had passed her first test, but she also knew that the real challenges lay ahead. Translating words was one thing. Translating intention, culture, and emotion would be the true measure of her skill. Later, Tara visited the observation deck, looking out at the stars stretching endlessly beyond the station. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, years of study, countless simulations, and a deep desire to bridge the gap between humans and aliens. She felt a sense of determination. No matter the doubt around her, she would not fail. As night fell on Zanara, the station lights dimmed to a soft glow. Tara returned to her quarters, reviewing notes and preparing for the meetings that would begin the next day. Somewhere in the depths of the station, General Kor watched from his office, his expression unreadable. He had faced many capable officers before, but Tara was different. She had a quiet strength that he could not ignore. For Tara, the first day had been a test of patience, skill, and composure. She had arrived on Zanara as a translator, but she intended to prove that her ability to understand and connect went far beyond words. She lay down that night with a sense of purpose, ready to face whatever challenges awaited her on the path ahead. Humanity's presence on Zanara depended on officers like her, officers who could rise above prejudice, learn quickly, and demonstrate that skill and empathy could shape the future. The morning sun filtered through the observation windows of the Zanara command hub, casting a soft golden glow across the station. Commander Tara entered the main chamber where officers and translators had gathered for a special test set by the Veyran Council. The Veyrans had requested that human translators demonstrate their ability to understand complex communication patterns, a task designed to reveal not just skill, but insight and intuition. Lieutenant Rami walked alongside Tara, a small smile on his face. "Nervous?" he asked quietly. Tara shook her head. "Not nervous. Focused. I have prepared for this moment." The chamber was large and circular, with holographic consoles positioned around the perimeter. In the center floated a translucent sphere, projecting Veyran symbols that twisted and turned in impossible patterns. The aliens' language was unlike anything humans had encountered. It was musical, mathematical, and visual all at once. Tara felt a familiar thrill of excitement. This was exactly what she had trained for. General Kor entered the chamber with his usual imposing presence. Officers straightened and a hush fell over the room. Kor's eyes scanned the gathering before landing on Tara. "Today," he said, "we will see if knowledge alone is enough. Translating words is simple. Understanding intent is the real challenge." He turned to the holographic sphere, which suddenly shifted, displaying a complex series of Veyran instructions. "You," he said, pointing at himself, "will attempt first. Let us see how a human of rank handles Veyran precision." Kor approached the console and placed his hands on the controls. The sphere pulsed with energy, projecting symbols and sounds that seemed to resonate in the air itself. Kor's fingers moved confidently, pressing the right patterns, but his translations were rigid. He translated words correctly, but the meaning behind the instructions was partially lost. The room murmured in quiet criticism. Tara observed him calmly. She had seen many officers make the same mistake. They relied too much on memorization and procedure. neglecting the nuance that the Vayrans embedded in their communications. Tara's mind worked differently. She listened not just to the words but to the patterns, the tone, and the rhythm. She could sense the emphasis on cooperation, respect, and subtle intention. When it was her turn, Tara stepped forward. Her hands hovered over the console for a moment as she studied the spinning symbols. Then she began, her voice steady and calm. She translated the messages, carefully preserving not just the words but the meaning behind them. She conveyed the Vayrans' respect for human leadership, while highlighting the delicate conditions they required for agreement. The officers watched, some in awe, others in disbelief. Kor's expression remained controlled, but Tara noticed the slight tightening around his eyes. He had underestimated her. When she finished, the Vayran monitor, a sleek device capable of analyzing human translations, confirmed her accuracy. The translation was precise, nuanced, and completely faithful to the Vayran message. Even the most skeptical officers nodded in approval. "Impressive," said the chief translator, a human woman named Selena. "You captured not just the words, but the intent. That is what sets a skilled translator apart from a mere interpreter." Kor remained silent, a hint of frustration in his expression. He had assumed that rank and experience alone would make him superior. Tara had quietly disproven that assumption. After the test, the officers gathered for a discussion. Kor spoke, his tone measured. "Translation requires more than skill with symbols. It requires understanding. Today we saw the difference between mechanical work and true comprehension. Commander Tara has demonstrated capability that exceeds her rank." The words were not a compliment in the way Tara might have hoped. Kor still maintained his authority, but it was a start. Tara nodded respectfully, her composure intact. Later, Tara was summoned to the strategy room for a briefing on the next stage of her assignment. The Vayrans had requested a live demonstration. Human translators would participate in a simulated negotiation scenario, designed to test their ability to react under pressure. As she entered the room, Tara noticed that several of her colleagues appeared tense. The scenario would be more than just translation. It would test reasoning, diplomacy, and intuition. A single mistake could result in failure. Tara was given a console that linked directly to the Vayran communication system. Her task was clear: translate messages, interpret meaning, and guide human officers in responding appropriately. The simulation began. The first message arrived as a cascade of symbols and sounds. Tara listened, absorbing every detail. She immediately recognized subtle cues in the message indicating hesitation and concern. She translated it to her human colleagues, highlighting not only the literal request but also the underlying intent. One officer, Lieutenant Joran, frowned. "Are you sure that's what they mean? It sounds like they are asking for a direct answer." Tara smiled slightly. "The words are direct, yes. But their tone and structure suggest they are seeking reassurance more than a command. Responding with understanding will prevent conflict." The team followed her advice. The simulation continued, messages growing increasingly complex. Each time, Tara translated with precision, carefully balancing literal accuracy with cultural understanding. Meanwhile, Kor observed from the side. His jaw was tight and he leaned forward slightly as if he were learning despite himself. He had always valued efficiency, direct action, and obedience. Tara's approach was different. It relied on patience, empathy, and observation. Yet it was effective. By the end of the simulation, the human team had successfully navigated the scenario, avoiding misunderstandings and demonstrating skillful negotiation. The Vayran monitor confirmed that the translations and responses were accurate, reflecting both technical precision and subtle diplomacy. The officers applauded quietly, and Tara felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. She had passed the second test, proving that understanding went beyond rank, training, or experience. Later, Tara returned to her quarters, exhausted but exhilarated. She reviewed the simulation logs, analyzing every decision, every translation, every subtle cue. She knew that real-world negotiations would be more complex, but she also knew that she was ready. Her skills had been tested, and she had succeeded. That evening, Tara received a message from General Kor. She opened it cautiously, expecting criticism. Instead, it read simply, "Your skills are unusual. Maintain them." Tara allowed herself a small smile. The acknowledgement, even if brief and understated, meant something. Kor had recognized her ability, even if he would never admit it fully. The next day, Tara visited the observation deck once again. She gazed at the stars, feeling the vastness of space stretching endlessly before her. Zanara was only one station, one point in the galaxy, but the work she was doing here had implications far beyond its walls. She felt a sense of pride and determination. Humanity was not the strongest species in the galaxy, nor the most numerous, but through skill, understanding, and perseverance they could achieve greatness. Tara thought of the Vayrans, of their complex language, and of the challenges that lay ahead. There would be more tests, more negotiations, and more moments when her abilities would be questioned. But she was ready. Every word she translated, every decision she made, would serve a larger purpose: to bridge the gap between humans and aliens, and to show that intelligence and empathy could be humanity's greatest weapons. As she left the deck, Tara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was not just a translator. She was a representative of humanity's potential, a reminder that skill and dedication could overcome doubt and prejudice. The challenges ahead were immense, but she welcomed them. For Commander Tara, every obstacle was an opportunity, and every doubt was a chance to prove the value of human insight. The station hummed quietly around her, alive with activity, negotiation, and anticipation. Tara knew that tomorrow would bring new tests, new challenges, and new opportunities to demonstrate that understanding, skill, and determination could achieve what rank alone never could. The morning on Zanara Command Hub began with unusual tension. Commander Tara arrived at the communications center to find officers gathered around multiple holographic displays. Alarms had not sounded, but the atmosphere was charged with urgency. The Veyran ambassador, Ambassador Vela, had gone missing during a routine diplomatic visit to one of the outer sectors of the station. The news spread quickly. A human error could risk the fragile alliance between humans and Veyrans, and tensions were high. General Kor stood at the head of the room, his arms crossed, his face hard as stone. "This is a serious breach of protocol," he said. "If the ambassador is harmed, the consequences could be disastrous." He turned to Tara. "Translator, you are expected to assist in locating and communicating with the ambassador. Your skills may be useful." Tara nodded, her calm demeanor contrasting sharply with the tension in the room. "Understood, General. I will do everything I can to locate Ambassador Vela and ensure her safety." Kor's lips pressed into a thin line. He did not fully trust her ability, but he could not ignore her record. Tara had proven her skill in translation, but now she would have to apply it under pressure. Tara gathered a small team for the search: Lieutenant Rami, Lieutenant Duran, and a security officer named Darek. Together, they analyzed the ambassador's last known locations and communications. Tara quickly noticed an unusual pattern in the Veyran messages leading up to the disappearance. There was a subtle repetition of symbols that suggested concern rather than anger. The ambassador had not gone missing voluntarily. Something had disrupted her routine. The team split up to scan different sectors. Tara led her group to the docking bays, the last known area reported by the ambassador's assistants. The bay was vast, filled with ships from various species, each reflecting light in different ways. The hum of engines and the clatter of maintenance equipment created a chaotic background. Tara's eyes focused, noting small details others might overlook. She noticed a door slightly ajar, one that should have been secured. The symbols outside the door indicated a minor security violation. The Veyrans would not ignore such breaches, yet there was no alarm. Tara crouched near the door and accessed the Veyran communication system. The symbols she received were fragmented, but she could interpret them. "They are signals of confusion," she told her team. "Ambassador Vela is trying to communicate, but the signals are blocked or distorted." Lieutenant Rami frowned. "Do you think someone is holding her?" Tara shook her head. "I do not think this is an act of hostility. It seems more like a misunderstanding or a technical error. The Veyrans are precise, but this situation is irregular even by their standards." They carefully entered the room. Inside, they found Ambassador Vela, standing near a damaged console, looking distressed but unharmed. Her skin shimmered faintly, a sign of agitation in Veyran physiology. Tara stepped forward and activated her translation device. "Ambassador Vela," Tara said softly, "we are here to help. Can you explain what happened?" The ambassador's voice was calm but urgent. "Systems malfunctioned. I could not access the communication links. Humans approaching were detected, but they do not intend harm. I remained in this sector to avoid triggering alarms that could escalate tensions. Tara nodded. I understand. We will ensure you are safe and that the issue is resolved. Please follow us. As they guided Vela back to the command hub, Tara observed the ambassador closely. She noticed subtle cues in her body language, the slight tilt of her head, the rhythm of her gestures, that indicated worry about human misunderstanding. Tara translated not just the words but the meaning behind them, assuring the ambassador that her safety and dignity were the priority. When they returned to the central command chamber, Kor was waiting. His expression was stern, but there was a glimmer of acknowledgement in his eyes. Explain, he demanded. Tara stepped forward. Ambassador Vela was not in danger. There was a malfunction in her communication system that isolated her from the network. She remained in a secure area to prevent alarms that could have caused confusion. I guided her back safely and communicated the situation to her directly, ensuring there was no misunderstanding. Kor's jaw tightened. He had prepared to reprimand the team, but Tara's clear explanation left no room for fault. The other officers exchanged impressed glances. One of the human translators spoke up. Commander Tara's understanding of Veyran communication made the difference. Without her insight, the situation could have escalated. Kor remained silent for a moment, then spoke in a measured tone. Your methods are unconventional, Commander, but effective. I will not argue with results. Later, Tara met privately with Ambassador Vela to review the events. The ambassador's form shimmered softly in a gesture of gratitude, a subtle sign of respect in Veyran culture. You handled this with patience and precision, Vela said. Humans often act with haste, but you observed, listened, and understood. That is rare among your kind, Tara smiled. Thank you, Ambassador. My goal is to ensure understanding between our species. Misunderstandings can lead to unnecessary conflict. I intend to prevent that whenever possible. Vela inclined her head. You have a gift. Remember, trust is fragile. Even small mistakes can erode it. You have shown that humanity is capable of careful thought and respect. That is encouraging. Tara felt a surge of pride. She had not only prevented a crisis, but also strengthened the bond between humans and Veyrans. She thought of the officers who had doubted her, including General Kor. Perhaps they would begin to see that skill. Patience and empathy could rival rank and authority. The next day, Tara returned to the translation chamber. The events of the previous day had left the station on edge, but her presence was calming. Officers consulted her more frequently, and even Kor occasionally sought her insight, though he did not openly acknowledge it. During a strategy meeting, Tara noticed another problem. The Veyrans were scheduled to hold a joint exercise with human forces, but there were subtle indications of hesitation in their messages. Tara analyzed the communication patterns carefully. She identified that the Veyrans were concerned about potential miscommunication during the exercise, particularly in matters of timing and command structure. She brought her findings to the senior officers. If we do not address these concerns, the exercise could fail. We need to clarify command roles and ensure that every step is mutually understood. Kor looked at her, a flicker of respect in his eyes. Your analysis is accurate. Proceed with your recommendations. Tara coordinated a series of briefings with human and Veyran officers. She explained the nuances of each step, ensuring that both sides understood not just the words but the intent behind them. The Veyrans responded positively, adjusting their procedures to match human capabilities. By the end of the day, the joint exercise was ready to proceed without misunderstandings. That evening, Tara walked along the observation deck, reflecting on the events. She realized that her role was evolving. She was no longer just a translator. She had become a mediator, a bridge between humans and Veyrans. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but it was also an opportunity to demonstrate what humanity could achieve through intelligence, patience, and empathy. Lieutenant Rami joined her. You handled the ambassador's situation brilliantly, he said. I have never seen anyone read the Veyrans so well. Tara smiled. It is not brilliance. It is careful observation and listening. Understanding comes from paying attention, not rushing to act. Rami nodded. Still, it is impressive. Even General Kor seemed surprised. Tara laughed softly. He will take time to adjust. Some people need to see results before they accept new methods. Patience is part of the job. As the stars shimmered beyond the observation windows, Tara felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity was not the most powerful species in the galaxy, but skill, intelligence, and understanding could make them respected and valuable allies. Each success, each demonstration of careful thought and empathy, strengthened that position. The next challenge would be the joint exercise with the Varens, a test of coordination, trust, and communication. Tara knew it would be demanding, but she was ready. She had proven that understanding and skill could surpass assumptions and prejudice. She had saved the ambassador, navigated cultural complexities, and strengthened the alliance. And as she prepared for the days ahead, Tara understood a deeper truth. Humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or technology, but in their capacity to observe, understand, and connect. That strength could bridge worlds, prevent conflict, and leave a lasting mark on the galaxy. With determination, she turned away from the observation deck, ready to face the challenges that awaited. The Varens, the station, and even General Kor could doubt her, but Tara knew her purpose and her skills. She would continue to demonstrate what humanity could achieve when intelligence, patience, and empathy guided their actions. The station hummed quietly, alive with life, communication, and the anticipation of the tasks ahead. For Commander Tara, every step forward was a step toward proving that humans could rise to meet challenges beyond imagination, building alliances and understanding where others saw only obstacles. The day of the high-level Varen negotiation arrived. The Zanara command hub was buzzing with activity. Officers moved briskly through the corridors, reviewing protocols, double-checking communication systems, and ensuring that everything was in perfect order. Commander Tara prepared herself in the translation chamber, her mind focused, her hands steady as she calibrated her console. This negotiation was crucial. A single misstep could jeopardize years of alliance building between humans and Varens. General Kor entered the chamber, his presence commanding attention. His expression was rigid, his eyes sharp as he scanned the room. "Commander Tara," he said in a controlled tone, "I am assuming the lead in this negotiation. You will translate my commands. We cannot afford mistakes." Tara looked at him steadily. "General, I am here to translate, yes, but also to ensure understanding. If you insist on leading without my input on subtle cues, we risk miscommunication." Kor's jaw tightened. "My rank gives me authority." "You will follow orders." Tara held his gaze. "Rank alone cannot translate intention. If we do not understand the Varens, even the most precise commands could fail." For a moment, silence fell over the room. Officers glanced at each other, sensing the tension. Kor's pride had been bruised before, but he had rarely faced someone who challenged his authority so calmly. He gave a curt nod, unwilling to argue further, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. The negotiation chamber was vast, a hemispherical room with seats for delegates from multiple worlds. At the center floated the holographic projection of the Varen Council, shimmering in patterns of light and color. The Varens were immediately aware of every movement, tone, and nuance. They communicated not only with words, but with subtle shifts in color, rhythm, and frequency. Tara knew that misreading even one signal could cause confusion. Kor began the negotiation, speaking in a confident tone. Tara listened carefully, interpreting both the words and the subtle signals of the Varens. Almost immediately, she noticed a hesitation in the alien delegates. Something in Kor's phrasing, though technically correct, seemed to convey abruptness, which could be perceived as disrespect in Varen culture. "General," Tara said quietly, leaning slightly toward him, "you need to adjust your phrasing. They are interpreting it as rigidity rather than firmness. If you allow me to rephrase, the message will convey strength and respect." Kor's eyes narrowed. "Do it then. But make it brief." Tara nodded and spoke into the translator. "The humans affirm their commitment to the Alliance. They seek cooperation and mutual respect. Every decision is made with consideration for Varen Council." The Varen shimmered in response, a subtle sign of approval. Kor noticed, his lips pressing into a thin line. Tara's translation had softened the edge of his command without diminishing its authority. As the negotiation progressed, Tara continued to mediate, translating not only words but also tone, intent, and emphasis. Kor followed her guidance reluctantly, his pride occasionally showing, but he could not deny the effectiveness. The Varens responded positively, and the dialogue moved smoothly. Midway through the negotiation, a particularly complex issue arose. The Varans demanded clarification on joint command procedures during the upcoming fleet exercise. Their message was multi-layered, combining directive statements with subtle inquiries about human flexibility. Kor responded with his usual directness, but Tara immediately recognized a potential misunderstanding. "General," she whispered, "your answer could be interpreted as rigid. They need reassurance that humans can adapt without compromising authority. Let me translate your intent in a way they will understand." Kor hesitated, his pride warring with practicality. Finally, he gave a curt nod. "Do it." Tara's voice was calm, precise, and respectful. Humans are prepared to follow a flexible command structure, ensuring coordination and safety. Their goal is to cooperate fully while maintaining mutual respect and clarity in decision-making. The Varans shimmered with satisfaction. The misunderstanding had been avoided. Kor exhaled, his tension easing slightly, though he still struggled to fully accept Tara's subtle influence. During a brief pause, Kor pulled Tara aside. "You have a strange talent," he said quietly, almost reluctantly. "You interpret not just words but meaning. It is effective, but it feels as if I am being undermined." Tara looked at him calmly. "I am not undermining, General. I am ensuring that your intent is conveyed accurately. Without proper understanding, even the most authoritative rank cannot guarantee success. This is not about who leads. It is about achieving the goal." Kor's expression softened slightly. He was not used to humility in those around him, yet he could not argue with the results. "Perhaps. You are right," he admitted quietly. The negotiation resumed, with Tara mediating each exchange. When complex issues arose, she anticipated potential misinterpretations, providing translations that conveyed both the literal meaning and the subtle nuances of intent. Kor followed her lead, increasingly aware that her guidance was essential for success. As the final stage of the negotiation approached, the Varans presented a delicate request. They sought confirmation that human forces would respect their strategic input during joint operations. A simple affirmative answer could have been misinterpreted as submission, while a direct refusal could spark tension. Tara analyzed the communication carefully, considering the Varans' tone, rhythm, and color shifts. "General," she said softly, "allow me to phrase the response. They need assurance that humans value their input while maintaining mutual authority." Kor nodded, his pride tempered by necessity. "Proceed." Tara's translation was precise and respectful. Humans recognize and respect the strategic insights of the Varan Council. Decisions will be made jointly, honoring the expertise of both parties. Collaboration will guide every action. The Varans shimmered with approval. There was no hesitation, no question of intent. The negotiation concluded successfully. Tara had not only translated the words but ensured that meaning, tone, and respect were preserved. As the delegates departed, Tara remained standing, exhausted but satisfied. She had navigated the negotiation without errors, preventing misunderstandings that could have led to conflict. The officers gathered around her, some nodding in quiet admiration. Even General Kor, though reserved, acknowledged the outcome. Later, Kor approached her privately. "You have shown skill beyond what I expected," he said. "Your ability to interpret and guide is impressive. Today you prevented a potential disaster. I admit that I underestimated you," Tara smiled politely. "Thank you, General. My goal is to ensure understanding and cooperation. That is the responsibility of a translator, and of any human representing our species." Kor nodded, a rare moment of humility in his otherwise stern demeanor. "I will remember this. Your methods are unconventional but effective. Perhaps there is more to leadership than rank alone." Tara felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. The negotiation had been more than a demonstration of translation skill. It was proof that intelligence, observation, and empathy could achieve what authority alone could not. Humanity's strength was not in command or force, but in insight and understanding. That evening, Tara returned to the observation deck, reflecting on the day's events. She thought of the Varans, the complex language, and the delicate balance of trust and respect she had maintained. She thought of Kor, whose acknowledgement was a small but meaningful step toward broader acceptance of human skill. Lieutenant Rami joined her, carrying 2 cups of tea. "You were incredible today," he said quietly. "I have never seen anyone manage a negotiation like that." Even Kor had to admit it. Tara accepted the cup and smiled. It was not about me. It was about understanding. Observation, careful listening, and respect for intent are more important than authority alone. Humans have the capacity to learn and adapt. That is what makes us valuable allies. Rami nodded thoughtfully. It's impressive how you manage to stay calm under pressure. I think that is what sets you apart. Tara sipped her tea, gazing at the stars. Calmness comes from preparation and focus. The galaxy is vast and unpredictable. Panic does not solve problems, but understanding does. That is a lesson humans must remember if we want to thrive among other species. The night on Zanara was quiet. The station lights dimmed to a soft glow. Tara reviewed her notes, thinking of future negotiations, potential misunderstandings, and the continuous challenge of bridging human and Varen communication. Each success strengthened her resolve, proving that humanity could rise to meet challenges that others thought impossible. Tara knew that tomorrow would bring new responsibilities, new negotiations, and new opportunities to demonstrate what humans could achieve. She had faced doubt, opposition, and the weight of expectation. She had prevailed. And as she looked at the stars stretching endlessly beyond the observation windows, Tara understood a truth that guided her every action. Rank and authority could open doors, but intelligence, empathy, and understanding could shape the future. Humanity's potential was limitless when guided by insight, patience, and determination. For Commander Tara, today's confrontation had been a turning point. She had not only ensured the success of a critical negotiation, but had quietly reshaped the perception of human capability. The day began with a quiet hum of activity at the Zanara command hub. Commander Tara arrived early, moving through the corridors with calm confidence. Today was not another test or a negotiation. Today was the moment when the humans and Varans would finalize their joint operation plans for the upcoming fleet exercise. It was the culmination of weeks of preparation, observation, and careful translation. Success would depend on both clear communication and mutual trust. Tara entered the strategy room, where holographic displays projected the positions of human and Varen forces. Officers from both species were already gathered. Some human officers were tense, their eyes shifting nervously between the displays. The Varans shimmered subtly, their color patterns indicating focus and anticipation. Tara stepped to her console, adjusting the translation system and reviewing notes from previous exercises. General Kor arrived shortly afterward, his presence commanding attention. "Commander Tara," he said, his voice firm but restrained, "today is critical. Ensure that all communications are precise." "I expect no mistakes," Tara met his gaze. "I will ensure that intent and meaning are clear, General. Precision alone is not enough. Understanding is essential." Kor's eyes flickered with acknowledgement. He did not fully embrace her methods, but he had learned enough to trust her guidance. The operation began. Messages flowed rapidly between human and Varen officers. Tara translated with care, not just the words, but the subtle nuances of tone and intent. When the Varans expressed hesitation regarding the timing of maneuvers, Tara interpreted the hesitation and advised human commanders on a careful adjustment. When human officers expressed concern about their coordination, Tara translated it to the Varans in a way that maintained respect and authority. Throughout the exercise, Tara noticed a small but significant pattern. The Varans occasionally paused before executing certain commands, not out of doubt, but to test whether the humans were paying attention to subtle cues. Tara adjusted the human responses, ensuring that every movement aligned with Varen expectations while maintaining human initiative. The exercise progressed smoothly, with both species acting in harmony. Meanwhile, Kor observed silently, his expression unreadable. He had relied on rank, authority, and procedure throughout his career. Today he was witnessing something different. Tara's guidance, her attention to subtle detail and intent, ensured that every step of the operation ran without conflict or confusion. Midway through the exercise, a sudden communication alert appeared. A minor technical glitch had caused a delay in the Varen ship deployment schedule. Human officers were uncertain how to respond. Tara quickly assessed the situation. The glitch was simple, but without proper guidance, it could have led to confusion and mistakes. "Adjust the timing slightly," she instructed, speaking into the translation system. "Communicate the delay clearly, but emphasize that all actions remain coordinated. Maintain alignment in strategy and intent." The Varens shimmered in response, a sign of approval and understanding. Human officers adjusted their actions accordingly. The exercise continued without disruption, proving that careful observation, translation, and mediation were just as important as raw authority or technical skill. As the exercise concluded successfully, the Varens formally addressed the human delegation. Ambassador Vela's form shimmered with a pattern of approval and respect. The humans have demonstrated understanding and coordination that surpass expectations, she said. We have witnessed skillful translation, precise communication, and respect for intent. Commander Tara has played a pivotal role in ensuring success. The human officers exchanged proud glances. Tara's contributions had been recognized not only by the aliens but by her peers. Even General Kor, though reserved, allowed a small nod of approval. He had seen firsthand the impact of Tara's approach. After the official acknowledgments, the human officers returned to the command hub. Kor approached Tara privately, his expression serious but softened by respect. Commander Tara, he said, today you proved that understanding, insight, and careful observation can achieve what authority alone cannot. Your methods are unconventional but undeniably effective. I admit that I have underestimated your abilities. Tara nodded politely. Thank you, General. My goal has always been to ensure that humans are seen as capable allies, not only through authority, but through skill and understanding. Kor exhaled. Perhaps I have learned more from this exercise than I realized. Rank commands respect, yes, but skill and insight command trust. You have earned both. Tara felt a quiet satisfaction. It was not just a personal victory. It was a triumph for humanity. Humans were often underestimated by other species, considered impulsive or overly emotional, yet through intelligence, patience, and careful observation, they had demonstrated capability and value. The next day, the command hub held a ceremony to recognize the success of the joint operation. Tara stood at the center, alongside human and Varen officers. Awards and commendations were given, but the most important recognition came in the form of trust and respect. Officers who had once doubted her now approached her with gratitude and admiration. Kor, standing at a distance, watched quietly. After the ceremony, Tara found a moment to speak with Valen privately. The Varen ambassador's colors shifted to indicate warmth and approval. Commander Tara, she said, you have shown that humans can be careful, precise, and considerate. Your actions have strengthened the alliance. You have bridged understanding where others could not. Tara smiled. It has been my honor, Ambassador. I hope this marks a new era of cooperation and respect between our species. Vela inclined her head. It already has. Today, humans and Varens acted as one team. That is the true measure of success. Later, Tara returned to the observation deck, gazing at the stars beyond the station. The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly, a reminder of the many challenges yet to come. But today, humanity had proven itself, not through force, not through rank, but through intelligence, empathy, and the ability to understand and connect. Lieutenant Rami joined her with a quiet smile. You did it, he said simply. You showed everyone what humans can do when they focus on understanding rather than just authority. Tara nodded. It was a team effort. Humans have the capacity to learn, adapt, and bridge gaps. That is what makes us valuable in the galaxy. Rank alone is not enough.
Insight, patience, and empathy are equally important. Rami looked thoughtful.
Even General Kor seems to understand that now. He may not say it openly, but I think he has learned something. Tara smiled faintly. Change takes time. But today is a start. Humanity's place in the galaxy is not given. It must be earned through skill, understanding, and integrity. As the sun set on Zanara, the station glowed softly, reflecting off the metallic surfaces and casting a warm light across the corridors. Tara reviewed the events of the past weeks. The arrival, the tests, the ambassador crisis, the negotiations, and now the successful joint operation. Each challenge had been an opportunity to prove humanity's capability. Each success had strengthened the trust and respect between humans and aliens. The final moments of the day brought a quiet, personal acknowledgement from Kor. He approached Tara in the corridor, his expression more open than before. Commander, he said simply, you have proven that leadership is more than rank. You have shown skill, insight, and patience. Humanity is stronger because of officers like you. Tara inclined her head respectfully. Thank you, General. It is not about proving one person. It is about demonstrating what humanity can achieve when we combine intelligence with understanding. Kor paused, then nodded. Indeed, perhaps I have much to learn from you. As the stars glittered beyond the station, Tara felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The challenges had been great, but humanity had risen to meet them. Trust had been earned, alliances had been strengthened, and respect had been achieved through skill, insight, and perseverance. Commander Tara understood that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown species, cultures, and challenges. Humans would face doubt, underestimation, and prejudice. But she also knew the truth that had guided her through every test. Humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to observe, understand, and connect. That strength could prevent conflict, bridge worlds, and inspire respect across the stars. For Tara, the success of the day was a reminder that every challenge was an opportunity to prove humanity's potential. Every obstacle was a chance to demonstrate skill, empathy, and insight. Humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning, and with officers like her leading the way, the future looked bright. The station hummed with quiet activity, alive with preparation for future missions and continued collaboration between humans and Vayrons. Tara stood at the observation deck one last time, gazing at the endless expanse of stars. She felt the weight of responsibility, but also the exhilaration of possibility. Humanity had proven itself once. It could prove itself again, and with intelligence, patience, and understanding, there was no limit to what they could achieve. Tara took a deep breath and smiled. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and opportunities, but she was ready. Humanity had earned its place not through dominance, but through capability, insight, and the courage to understand.